together with Suni, who's just here, and that's me there. These are some of the women that work in the embassy in Tunis and in London. We hosted a seminar just for women, a workshop, to just, which was a training workshop, and that's part of what we do. We train to ensure ISPS compliance, and that can range from a whole range of issues, from cyber security to protective security to female passenger screening. And it was a female-only workshop where we trained them to do female passenger screening. And we tried it out, and it was a very interactive workshop, but it was also a way of celebrating International Women's Day, and we were all holding up placards celebrating the day and the pledges that we wanted to do as women. So that hopefully will be something that we will replicate. It was a pilot this year in Tunis. It was the first time that we all traveled again post-pandemic and met each other. And there was a lot of women that primarily work in the ports in North Africa who came together in Tunis to celebrate the day and do the passenger screening workshop with us. So hopefully next year, maybe I can do the same in this region. And we will invite many of you to that. Next slide, please. So more wonderful women in maritime. And this is just from my experience of having been in this job for 1 year. You will recognize some faces, probably, in these pictures. I hope so. And you will recognize our Ambassador Karigitu, who was with Cabinet Secretary Masharia just a few weeks ago in London. The gentleman in the middle is our Maritime Minister, Robert Courts, who's very keen and a good advocate for women in maritime. Top left is my first visit to Mombasa, where I went to the Mombasa Seafarers Mission alongside a colleague who's a maritime advisor in the British Peace Support Team, and we met a mother and a daughter, both working in maritime, and I thought that was wonderful. And you recognize it? Yes, of course, yeah, exactly. So there you are, you've got your picture, and then of course we have Christine, who we've seen that picture before. And here we have our our Africa Minister for the Foreign Office, who came on a visit to Kenya, and we took her to the port, and that's Vicky Ford, MP, and next to her is our British High Commissioner, who also happens to be a woman, Jane Marriott, and our Defence Attaché also is a woman in Kenya as well. It just so happens that all the planets have aligned, that there is a lot of females around at this moment. And then separately on the right, this is Mrs. O. I call her Mrs. O because she's got a complex name, a Nigerian name, but she's the port manager in Apapa Port in Lagos, and she had a big flyer about how they had celebrated Women's Day. So she's a great champion, another wonderful lady in maritime. Next slide, please. These last two slides that I'm presenting here, they will become much clearer. I'm sorry about the quality so that you can't read it now, but hopefully you will get them later and you will be able to read it. Gender equality cuts across all government policy now in the UK. And we are sitting, I'm operating from the embassy, the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office. And all the programs, all the projects, all the training that we do has to be gender, has to prove, and we are audited every year how we are making sure that we are we are ensuring everything we deliver is to these values and to this that represents the gender equality action plan that we are all working under. This is the UK. It's now established policy. Every year we have to give statistics as well as to how many women came to training courses, how many did we make it easy for women to come and get trained, including nursing mothers and others. Did we make the necessary changes or adaptations to make sure that nobody was excluded from any of the training that we provide? And that is now, again, quite recently, but it is now established as a priority and as an objective in anything that we do, not just maritime, but across the board. Next slide, please. And I think this is my last slide, but it very much captures why we're doing it. It's the right thing to do. It's the smart thing to do. It's our responsibility collectively. And these are slides that every civil servant in the UK gets to see when they get a job in government. We need to be, prove gender equality and practice it. And if anybody needs any evidence as to why, there is plenty of examples on the left-hand side. So it transcends all our government policy, and I hope that it encourages other countries to do similar things as well in all their ministries, not just transport or maritime, but others as well. So I think that's it. See if there's another slide. I don't think so. It would probably just be questions. Yeah, that's it. So I'm very happy to answer any questions, very happy to meet in the margins with many of you, and I hope that this is just the beginning of more WOMESA events that I will be able to come and attend with you. Thank you very much for having me.
I think most of us are familiar with the Maritime 2050, and I think there's a lot of work that has been put. I think she has explained to us quite well on the policy framework, the action plan, where we've seen what they're doing in terms of inclusivity. I think what I've picked up on speaker panels, just trying to have a database of speakers, the boards, opportunities in terms of opportunities for all when it comes to not only maritime but all other departments, gender equality cutting across all departments in terms of the action plan, diversity, and so on. So we will have a panel discussion after this. You will be able to raise feedback, questions to have. It is my honor to now introduce our next speaker, who has quite a colorful CV. Most of us have had the pleasure of interacting with her in other forums. Ms. Fumi Florenzo, who is a legal practitioner and a maritime consultant. She has a first degree in law and a master's degree in shipping, law and maritime. She started her career in 1983 as a pupil counsel at the Nigeria Federal Ministry for Justice. She was the second Nigerian registrar of ships and an assistant legal advisor of the Federal Ministry of Transport and Aviation. After her internship at the IMO in London, she resigned from the public sector and established a law firm and a consultancy firm. Today, she is the principal partner of Excel Law Chambers, Nigeria's AFCTA co-champion for the transport sector. She's also the Secretary General of Africa Ship Owners Association, and she has been, of course, a woman of many firsts, being the first executive secretary of the Nigerian Maritime Export (IMAREX), as well as the first Director General of the Indigenous Ship Owners Association, and the first president and trustee of the Association of Women in Shipping and Trade, WISTA, in the Nigeria branch, as well as the first Secretary General, of course, of African Ship Owners Association. She's also a trustee of the WIM Africa, and as well as the chairman of the publishing firm NMH Publications, and a member of the Nigerian Fleet Implementation Committee, and the secretary of the International Mission to the Seafarers Lagos branch. A round of applause for Madam Fumi.
Thank you very much. My first assignment is to ask you all to please stand on your feet. Paper after lunch is very difficult. Please stand up, shake your head, left to right, not too much, don't break the neck. Hands up, down, sit down. Please ensure you do not sleep, else you shall face the corner. Thank you very much for inviting me. It's going to be very brief. I had to take 2 cups of coffee to be able to present this paper. Thank you for the sponsor of that cup of coffee. First and foremost, I want to appreciate IMO. Could you put up the picture? Myself and the Secretary General a few years ago, if you can identify him. The administrator of this system does not have. Technical director, please ensure that you say to His Excellency, we appreciate him, we thank him. He took over Africa on our behalf, and today, 10 years later, we're celebrating. Please see, you let a young lady, don't mind the hair, on behalf of all women in the Maritime, we say thank you. What did you do? You set a button. You could have done it hundreds of years, but you waited for a time like this. So annually, we will be meeting as women in Maritime all over the world. And I will not die before next year, so that I shall be in IMO headquarters. And please say amen. Don't bother to sing it yours. Just sing it. To be able to say, I am Women Africa, I am Wista, I am Womesa, I am Willard, and so many others. Thank you very much. I want to thank most especially the conveners of this event. Thank you for inviting me. You will notice that I've been hugging so many of you. God gave us victory over COVID, and we are all here today. Thank you, conveners, for giving me the opportunity. Thank you very much, all of our sponsors. ASA is also part of it. We didn't pay a dime, but we donated our Secretary General to be here. Thank you very much for all the sponsorship, KMA and all. Thank you very much. We appreciate you. Please, the men should sit down. I want to appreciate all women in this room. Please stand up. Today is our day. Today is our day. You could have been a medical doctor. You could have been anything, but you're a woman in Maritime. So give yourself a round of applause. And for all other women who are not here, give them a round of applause. And shout out, women, just and you shouted, Listen, I am here to talk about transportation connectivity. There is a problem. Let's not shy away from it. There is a problem. When I was preparing the paper, I came with a presentation. But then I listened to papers presented. I've had discussions. And I decided, forget it. Let's talk about the problem. It is cheaper to move my cargo from Kenya to Europe than from Kenya to Nigeria. Is that right? Yes. You know what is now the greater problem? We now have an Africa that has signed on to AFCFTA. We're going to be trading amongst ourselves. Cargo is going to be moving. Therefore, the shirt that we had on, which was already bursting at the seam, don't look at my shirt, is going to really rip open. All the benefits of that AFCFTA is going to go down the drain if we do not have good connectivity, good transportation in Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, I have decided, there's a slide there that I need to have up permanently. It's a Word document. Word document. Whilst he's looking at for it. In February, the United Nations Economic Commission gave us a 51-page document. about transportation connectivity under AFCFT. Good news, but it was scary. Because if we do not address it here and now, from here, all of those benefits is going to go down the drain. The African Union also, under the blue economy, thematic areas. And I keep reading it and I keep saying to myself, we're dreaming. We better come down and talk about it. Let's all start to talk about it. Connectivity, transportation in Africa. I will repeat it twice. There is a problem. There is a problem. I will repeat it twice. Ladies, we have got to work at it. Womesa, what is your role? When I had the topic, which way Africa, I kept saying to myself, who are they asking? Me. I'm going to throw it back to you. Which way? We have a formidable group here. We have strength here. We have nations here. We have formidable women who are policy makers or who could influence policy. I hear you asking questions about policy, and I'm saying to myself, what policy? Who is the one who writes to a director and to her minister on policy matters? It's not me, it's all of you. So when IMO says to us here, I thank you for those beautiful handbags of blessings. I'm going to go back and say, IMO promises, IMO promises, IMO promises. And please hold William and the director to their promises. They made my day. We've listened with rapt attention to commitments by IMO, especially about bringing together all women. That I look forward to. But before then, Womesa Madagascar, Womesa Kenya, Womesa, what is your role? The ones that have been put together, have you implemented? Have you studied it? We're all looking at academies, we're all looking at empowering leadership. I'm looking forward to one space in the 30 slots there for myself, and of course I'll take my sister along, ambassador, leadership positions, how to become a leader. What do you have to do, Mister? You must work with IMO. What did I say? Just sleeping. I said so. Womesa work with IMO. Repeat after me. Womesa work with IMO. It doesn't stop here. It means when you take a plane tomorrow or Saturday, whatever we've said here, you start to work on it there. Womesa, you must work with your national maritime administrations. There is a vacuum. There is a vacuum. What you learn at Womesa, you never influence your national administrations. So there's the KPA, there's a member of KPA here, there's a member of KMA here, but how much influence? No, women. It's not the day for men.
Sorry.
Thank you, sir. Your apology is accepted. How far have you implemented it? He says, bid for it. Ask to be part of it. Have you? No. You sit down there, you come back from, what did you do at Womesa? What did you do in Kisumu? It was a beautiful conference. And then you post photographs. But the reality is, you are not working. Womesa ladies here present, correct me. You are not working with your national maritime administrations. Work with the REX, the regional. There's a big divide. At times I sit at their meetings and I'm like, I are these people from another world? Maritime in the wrecks in Africa, there is a big difference. Please work with your wrecks. Invite them, and do not think the regional economic commissions have been invited to this. Please, when you get back to Madagascar, Nigeria, Kenya, invite them to your programs. They will come. Come. Lumesa, work with your private sector. Don't nod your head. I do not have a WOMESA, I do not have an African Ship Owners Association representative in Madagascar, in Kenya, in Tanzania. I left this for you to be here. Thank you very much, Mr. Azu, for that brilliance. We are no longer serving at the table. I hope you can hear. We're no longer serving at the table. We want to sit at the table. Nancy is here. Thank you for brilliance. Don't go moving chairs. Push their chairs. Make a chair for yourself. Very quickly. Don't bother to clap, it's your day. Move the chair. Stop paying the commercial officer KPA. Become director KPA. Become the managing director Kenya Shipping Line. Don't bother saying amen. You have not gone to the Nazu school. Leadership training. So who's going to nominate you for leadership? I will give you a simple example. I am here annually at your events, but I don't get invitations to women's in other countries. So once we leave here, that's the end of it. COVID permitting, monkeypox permitting, it's the next time the Mesa calls a meeting. So where we go? Nowhere. AAMA. Thank you, Nancy. You will remember 3 years ago when you rolled your sleeves and that organization. You're sitting beside the chief collaborator in getting us the Maritime Administration in Africa. Can we make it? Oh, lovely. So, Nancy, I am next in line for Ambassador. That's her sister. Years ago, she was much younger. She's now a little bit older. I hear you very well. IMO doesn't talk about commercial, but what you did for me was an education. I am a member, as an association, a member of the AAMA. So I'm going to shake the seat. Where's the AAMA? Where are you? I'm going to insist on being part of the administration. You don't get to be an African ship owner unless you pass through the Maritime Administration too. And what are you administering? Different ships. So some of them, we want to be part of it. Nancy, you won't go away without ensuring that what we established years ago functions, is revived, and you're not going to retire until we have it run. Your vision for it, you must stick to it. I have stopped to learn. I have what? Oh, the Maritime Administrations, I would like to report. So, the Maritime Administrations is not carrying us along. They may come to your meetings, or do you see us there? On the website, you have African Ship Owners Association, African Ship Registry. I'm talking connectivity. There is no connect between us and AAM. There can be no connectivity in transportation if our maritime laws are not. So when we're talking to them privately, we say to them, my women say they want to be part of it. We're not asking them to fund us for these conferences. You will have a commercial bid at the end of the meeting somewhere, and then you show us out. But here for the industry, there must be some form of communication. Else, the issue of connectivity in Africa is going to be heightened. AFCFT says we are trading between ourselves, but it's going to be a problem. And before I forget, somebody brought it to my attention. Why does IMO have to talk to African ship owners through their representatives, whether WOMES or whether AEM? You have the carbon emission, you have that problem. Our vessels are going to be coming. they may not comply with IMO standards. So it's better to have your enemy or your weak link near you so that you say to them, excuse me, I got to ask you a question. In Greece 2 weeks ago, he says, well, African shipowners, what's your position on carbon emissions? Truthfully, I had to be forged. He said, the reason I have problems right now is that how many ships do we have? Because of the numbers, there is a paper that I want you to see, the UNECA report, abridged UNECA report. We're looking at massive number of vessels in the next few years. Are you sure that those vessels are not going to be such a problem for IMO standards, safety? I promised it wouldn't be too long. Finally. What has African Shipowners Association? Who knows what African Shipowners Association is all about? Just one. You've all been my friends over the years. It is an association made up of Africans who own vessels, whether flying an African flag or not. We started off believing that we had numbers. We found out that we do not have numbers. Therefore, we are, secondly, an advocacy platform asking for more Africans to invest in shipping. Africans, I first experienced Djibouti. The then minister in Djibouti said, Madam, a vessel costs the whole of our budget is the cost of one vessel. So he threw it out, and me as well. But today, thank God, I've taken a picture with Her Excellency. I've taken a picture with the Secretary General. I've taken a picture and signed an MOU with the African Union. And I'm very well known to the minister. Therefore, we're gradually being, from an entity, we're building up to be in prominence. Please raise up your hand if your country has a ship. 1, 2. That's a number. Good. Doing international trade. Put down your hands. International trade. 1, 2, 3. We have just 3 countries here present. There could be more. So how are we going to? What's the connectivity? Ethiopia shipping line, you're in a class of your own. Therefore, we will not count you as part of us. We're fledgling waters. We need to get up and do it. You are all here nodding your heads as women in Maritime. My challenge to you is, I have directors, sports directors. I have Madam Nancy. I have so many of you. But none of you. I want to reach a name, that's why I'm taking over. The first female I have in Nigeria, I'm not here as a Nigerian, would want to be a ship owner. Just raise your hand. Now, a ship owner. In training, the leadership training, sir, we humbly request, if you go to Greece, if you go to Norway, they have training in that. How to read, what course, what the ship ownership, the guide. When a few years ago, long years ago, we were setting up, reforming the Maritime administration in Nigeria, IMO had a document there, a template for National Maritime Administration done by a consultant. Because of the safer ships we're advocating as IMO, I'm already talking about we, the IMO. We may have to look for Africa. We've got us women speaking with me. We've got maritime administrations speaking with me. We ask maritime administrations to look at that safety of shipping in Africa. The connectivity is poor. Africa has a problem, and we have a formidable group here present. I have set up a secretariat at the back here because ASA has taken the battle, the advocacy to Greece. Greece is a maritime nation. 2 weeks ago, at about this time, I met with the Greek maritime minister, maritime minister. He was appreciative. He saw the dilemma that we had. He's asked us the last few days in September to come to Greece as a continent, the maritime countries. I am hoping that all of you here will give me the names and addresses of who to write to. But can I appeal for one on behalf of Africa? Greek is a maritime nation. It has ships. I know you've been talking to Norway, and I know you, in terms of cadence, train in sea time. We're looking for ships. We want to buy, we want to charter. So we're going to meet seafarers, African seafarers, long-trained seafarers. I hear there are no sea time, seabirds. But you cannot force me if I own a Norwegian flagged vessel to have African cadets on my ship. Nancy can appeal, yes, madam. Nancy could appeal to an African flagged vessel to train cadets. But it will be a tall order to ask the Norwegian government to take out the droves of African seafarers waiting for sea time. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the third and the final one, connectivity. Transportation is already bursting at the seas. With the FCFTA, we will not have good holders. The assignment is now, for now. I want to work with Vanessa. I believe that Vanessa is my starting point. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Madam. We definitely said the best for last. An afternoon session, but I believe you all have enjoyed the presentation. Just before we open up the panel discussion, there's an announcement. For those who took the PCR test, kindly see Faith. Faith, if you could just stand up, she's at the back of the room. Faith of IMO region. Okay, she will need to collect some amount for the PCR test, and it's $5, so just liaise with her. So we are now on to the panel discussion. So Madam Funmi's presentation was quite interesting. She brought up the issue of maritime connectivity and how do we make it work, particularly in regards to the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. So we have space to trade among ourselves as African nations, but what are we doing about it? What are we doing as maritime administrations? What are we doing as REMESA? The opportunities that have been brought forward by all these regional economic commissions and the partnerships, how can we then enhance connectivity? How do we ensure that then we have African ship owners who can indeed have space to have the cargo on board ships and be facilitated through the trade facilitation agencies to ensure that then they do have clients or customers? How do we afford cadets sea time on board the ships? So from a African ship owner's perspective, I think that was quite handful, and I believe we've learned a lot. She also spoke on we as women in maritime. How do we position ourselves? How do we create space at the table? So I think this has come up even from the previous speakers, Dr. Jacqueline, Madam Nancy, Madam Sebiso, and we need to really reflect. There's a lot of activities, there's a lot of policies, there's a lot of programs, the IMO programs, the accelerator programs, leadership programs opportunities. So we need to all reflect, and at the end of this workshop, I believe we will all have an opportunity to look back and see where are we going in terms of the future, given the opportunities that now are before us. So we'd like to open up the session for discussion and feedback, comments. Can I have Musa, the microphone? Thank
you. My name is Devota Mandanda from Tanzania. Maybe I quickly thank the presenters since this is my first time to speak today. So all the presenters that presented today with such a wonderful presentations and the insight discussions. Mine is about the appeal from Madam Fomi on WOMESA working closely with maritime administrations. I would like to make maybe a suggestion, or you can improve it the way you see it is more viable. I think there was a need for the maritime administrations to be well informed that there is WOMESA in place, and it is an IMO strategy that intended to promote women, to provide equal status in the decision-making tables. And I can see the willingness of for example, Tanzania Maritime administrations, but there is a lack of, I don't know, can I say connectivity or whatever. I think if there was maybe a policy or an appeal for them to be supportive or prime supporters or patrons on all the events that are engineered by WOMESA, it would be very easy, because these people have capacity. They have capacity and they are willing. Sometimes they are making it as an option. They have, this time they haven't planned it, they will say that we haven't planned for it. But if there is within the strategy that there is a provision of maritime women, not only generally, maritime women in place, I think most of our projects would go smoothly. And that is one. And the second one, I would like to share an experience on the difficulties of seafarers training, sea time. In Tanzania, we have that problem, and I think it's a problem everywhere. But the government has decided to put it in the national legislation. Every vessel that is registered in Tanzania must have at least 2 beds for the seafarers training. But it is general for both men and women. Now, as the presentation went on earlier this morning, I was thinking that maybe there should be a particular provision that insists on women seafarers training. That would be much better for women to be capacitated in the maritime sector. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you take another one? Proceed. Okay.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank all the presenters for sharing everything that I've shared this morning. I want to present myself. I'm Priscilla from Mauritius. I wanted to firstly to share something to our sexual sister who asked a question with regards to maritime female representation in maritime security, and how can we promote more women in the maritime security. So So just to add with what Mr. Williams said in the morning, is that since, I think, women might correct me if I'm wrong, I think since already 1 year now, so via Women's Regional, each national chapter is being invited to for fellowships in maritime security and port management. Okay, and this is specially reserved for women. And Women's is lucky, I would say, to have to be invited for this training. And I would say from personal experience is that we did an introspective last year to see what our members wanted from Women's. And one of the suggestions was training, building up competency. But we are very lucky Women's in each national chapter to have so many trainings which are being sent to us. But our members, despite saying that they need training, they don't apply for it. And part of our, I would say, job duty has been, to frequently send reminders from them, encourage them, hug them, say, okay, go for it, lady, go for it. And I'm happy to say that after all this hugging, prompting, we have had 2 members who have successfully done this training last year. And I've got, the second one is a request to IMO. This is, I don't know if it's the same condition in other countries, but being signatory to IMO, and we are obliged, and we have to follow maritime security, more specifically the ISPS code. I would say about 8 years before, I was quite lucky that there was an institute in Mauritius who could find a recognized security officer or a recognized security institute to provide us the training. So I can say right now I'm a certified port security officer. But after that, it has been really difficult and really costly to get someone down there to give these trainings to us. As such, I think you have to renew your certificate every 5 years. So my request would be if you can accompany us or assist us in providing us this, I think most of it should be done on-site, this on-site training, so that we can build our capacity and increase our knowledge on ISPS.
I believe that was a direct request to IMO, am I right? That's a good one. Have you made any requests to IMO? Yeah. Nothing asked, nothing gained. So if you send it today, I'll respond today. So it's okay.
And in addition to what William said, there are some differences between the general capacity building training for SPS code and the training for the maritime security officers, because those training mostly carried out by the national administrations. But in any case, we can facilitate with that institutionalized capacity building, as well as to help the administration to organize those workshops or seminars.
You heard it all from the horse's mouth. So it's up to you now.
This goes again to IMO. We know that the database of the 2% is all over the world about the female on board the vessels. A number do not lie. And why I'm asking this question is, how many African women do we have on board the vessels? The 2% is all over the world. what are Africa? How many percentage do we have? Why I'm asking this? I have a case study of an African girl who asked a job in a European country. It was on an email. They have never met her. But the day they saw her, she walked in the office and they sent an email that we don't take, they didn't want to say that we don't take Africans, but they say we take from this area of Asia. If you look at the 2%, how many black Africans do we have on those vessels? We need the data as Africans. We should not rely on 2%, and the 2% we're not sure if it is us or somebody else. Thank you. How can you help us, IMO, to get the data?
Can you hear me? Yeah, it's fine now. I'm not sure which part of the help you need. Is it the employment part or the statistics? The statistics. Yeah, it's along the same line of question you have asked previously. So, the combination, yes, about the statistics. We are working with ILO to get a comprehensive statistics and we'll post them on our website. It's public information. About the 2% you're talking about, it's not just 2%. 2% is just a figure to work with. Nobody can tell you for certain, as we sit here, the exact number. It's an approximation. If you read some literature, they say 1%. If you read some, they say 2%. So statistics is crucial, and we're working with ILO to get an approximation of what it is. You also have to include attrition. People also leave. As they leave, people jump. So it's a dynamic process, and it's work in progress. We'll get the statistics. It's very minimal, the number of females on board, that's a fact. Not just on board, even the boardrooms, as we've been talking about. So it's a generalized figure, but we'll have to get something very close to it. And we're working very hard to do that. Hold me on that and check with us again in a couple of weeks. Thank you. Yes, please do. Madam Moderator.
My name is Diana Balala from Malawi. I'm a chairperson, Malawi Master Chapter. I would like to make a request from IMO. As Malawi is a landlocked country, and exposure to the oceanic maritime activities is very limited. So I would like to ask IMO for movement exchange, visiting other countries so that we can learn more from our sisters, and to help us to have short courses and attach to allow Malawian college to be attached and get the students to look about capacity. Another issue is the upgrade. We have got only one college in Malawi that provides education for women. So it's very difficult for us to upgrade since our college provides only up to diploma level, not graduate level. So we'd like to ask you more to consider and allow it. Please consider that.
Do you want to respond? You know, yesterday when we had the reception, when Madam Nancy called me to speak and introduce my boss, I said this is a wrong forum to say no to women. So it's a very wrong forum to say no, but seriously speaking, Malawian case is peculiar. There's no landlocked country. I'm sure people will say, what are you talking about? There is nothing like landlocked. You are landly connected. You are not landlocked because you benefit from shipping services as well. What we do is to make it a lot easier for those countries. You have capacity issues because you don't have coastlines. Okay? But you can train elsewhere. Yeah, young people can work on board ship elsewhere. That's why shipping is international. I'll give you an example with Ethiopia. Ethiopia is, very high altitude, completely landlocked. Water flows from top to down, not the other way around. So there is no way you can have a coastline in Ethiopia. But they have the most efficient shipping line. Most efficient in Africa. As of today, they have about 19 vessels trading in the Far East. So the idea that a landlocked country I can't do shipping does not arise. Ethiopia has proven that it works. Ethiopians here, she's here, so you know what I'm talking about. So Malawi can do it. Request, come back to us because what you say now is news to us. We send educational materials to your nautical institute. The recent one was 2020. So we make sure that we assist nautical institutes around the world. But you have to make a request for specific things. There's no way we will know everything you want unless you ask. So you're here now, good thing you're here. Go back, talk to your administration, make a request, then we'll be able to discuss with you bilaterally. I hope that satisfies. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Our distinguished guests and presenters. This is my first time to address this session, and I'm actually very pleased with the presentations that we have had and received since morning, including the speeches that have gone through since the early session. Now, for this afternoon session, I personally appreciate the presentation given by the UK in terms of generally what we have done to build the capacity for their women, the policy they have established in line with the 2050 policy for where they wish to be. It's something that we can learn and aspire to, and we look forward to working with the UK on how we enhance our maritime capacity for our women in the maritime sector, not only for Kenya but also all the other chapters and for the region. We also appreciate the presentation given by Kumi in terms of generally the position of the administration and the ships. It was quite interesting to see the number of hands that are down in terms of the shipping lines and the fleet that we have in Africa. And for me personally, I feel that we need to come up with a strategy, at least before the end of this session. We need to come up with a strategy following this session on how we can become ship owners. We can build an African fleet. We can sail the seas and do what everybody else does. And as a result, this will also enhance our labor supply. And we will be what we were back then in the 1980s when we were discussing the different sections and the different resources where Africa really played a role, as well as Asia, in terms of the contents of the exclusive economic zone, the contents of the contiguous zone, the contents of the territorial sea. So I hope that through this session and our outcome and following these presentations, that by this session, we'll be able to come up with some of the strategies of how we can build the African fleet. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon once again. Mine is a question, though not really related to women, but just to ports in general. I have seen in Kenya and just heard from the other countries that I've interacted with. Most ports, most countries have their own ships, But for us as Zambia, our case is different, or maybe special in some way, because wanted to find out through IMO or other organizations that are around. I don't know if it's possible for some ships, whether they have those old ships that they can sell or give out, or I don't know how the procedure can be done. But they could also want to have even just a small ship that we can have of our own as a country. Thank you.
Outside IMO's premise. It's not that we didn't want to respond, but as I said earlier in the day, we are not involved in commercial shipping. That is the commercial aspect of shipping, and it should be on a bilateral basis. There are ship yards, there are those who want to sell their old ships, for whatever purposes. So it should be. IMO shouldn't be seen to be involved in those aspects of shipping. So I'm afraid for this one, it's not a yes. So I can't make any promise. We can't get involved in this one. Apologies for that. Thank you.
I would like to respond very quickly. Tanzania, the request is inform AAMA about Gomesa. The father, these two, the Maritime Administration and Gomesa, have a common father. Just look in front of you. So, passing request. Your children need to be informed that you have a female child here and a multiple children here, and you will be part of it. The IMO cannot get involved in commercial things. ASA, African Ship Owners Association, is the commercial leg of this agenda. UMESA is the female leg of this agenda. Countries here present, please let us meet, exchange cards, and let us see how to develop an African fleet using women as the key driver.
Thank you so much, Reverend and Mr. Azu, for the responses. I think we are almost coming to the end of our program today. So we have a request from Secretariat to give a token of appreciation to two of our speakers who unfortunately might not be able to be with us tomorrow. So, Madam Rosemary, I would kindly call upon Madam President Anene to come and give out the gift to Ms. Jacqueline, Dr. Jacqueline. And then the next, I would like to call upon Madam P.S. So thank you so much, Dr. Jackie. Thank you for making time to give us an understanding of the OMSA and your insights into leadership. We appreciate it. Yes, can we like to follow the
Thank you.
A round of applause for this presentation. Thank you so much, Patricia. Very good presentation. I believe we will learn more from the UK policy program. Thank you. So without much further ado, we have come to the end of our program today. I believe tea is available at the same venue where we had our lunch. So for tomorrow, we will continue with our presentations, and the first session, we will have a recap of today's sessions between 8 and 9. So we kindly request you if you can be seated at least by 8:30 so that we can have a 30-minute recap. Registration, of course, will be open from 8 o'clock as you come in. And then we will start the panel discussions and the presentations from 9 to 10, where we will have two presentations. One focusing on climate change and women by Ms. Lydia Ngugi, MTCC Africa, that's the Maritime Technology Climate and Cooperation Center. And then we have the second presentation by the Kenya Maritime Authority Director General on capacity building for women in the maritime sector in the 21st century, the role of institutions. And then this will be followed by, after the tea break tomorrow at 11, we will have discussions on the WIMESA strategic plan, as well as any other issues regarding the WIMESA region that chapters can be able to learn from and pick up what exactly is the future of WIMESA. Then we expect to have site visits to Dunga Beach, and then we will have the gala dinner tomorrow. So we will advise on the site visit, but for So that's the program for tomorrow. There is an announcement from the IMO Regional Coordination Team. For those who are expected to be facilitated by IMO, kindly see the lady from IMO, that is Faith, so that then she'll be able to facilitate you in terms of your DSC. That's it for today. Unless we have any burning issues, Secretariat is available, and hope to see you tomorrow. Thank you.